UMG allegedly almost blocked the release of Pop Smoke's first posthumous album, Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon, because of a Pusha T verse that the label thought was a diss at Drake. Billboard interviewed Pusha T's longtime manager Steven Victor in response to the Clips GQ interview that dropped yesterday. In the GQ article, there's a moment where Pusha alludes to the label interfering with the release of his verses on Rick Ross and Lil Wayne's Maybach Music 6 and on a posthumously released Pop Smoke song. While that Pop Smoke song is titled Paranoia, the official version features Young Thug and Gunna, but the original version also featured a verse from Pusha T. Pop Smoke was signed to Steven Victor's label, Victor Worldwide. Steven Victor points to a specific department at UMG who's responsible for protecting artists and the label from lawsuits for copyright infringement. But this department would supposedly take things a step further and would attempt to block Pusha from releasing verses that contain disses aimed at Drake. But there's more to the backstory of this song than what's in the article. Flashback to 2020 when this album was released, and you may recall that Pusha T and Young Thug actually got into a beef on social media over the song. First, Young Thug called out Pusha T saying, "I don't respect Pusha T verse on the song with me and Gunna because I don't have none to do with y'all beef, nor does Gunna, and if I knew that was about him, I would have made changes on our behalf." Pusha T then responded directly to Thug, tagging him in a post and saying, "Don't feel bad, nobody knew what the verse was about. The label heads that stopped it didn't even know. They only assumed because he told them. The same way he told about the Ross Maybach 6 verse." Steven Victor also told Billboard that Pusha T's verse was not a diss at Drake. Now, I do agree it's completely whack for a label to censor a rapper's lyrics just because he's being a little mean to another artist, but we need to call cap on this because Pusha's verse was 100% a diss at Drake. There's multiple subliminals aimed at Drake. Pusha says he's gonna buy a house in Mississauga, if I'm saying it right, which is in the greater Toronto area. And he references an incident at his concert in Toronto in 2018 when people rushed the stage and a brawl erupted. Despite the verse obviously being a diss at Drake, it is absolutely insane for the label to allegedly have a pattern of doing this. But it's also pretty ironic that UMG was allegedly protecting and propping up Drake, and now Drake is suing UMG for allegedly doing the same thing for Kendrick. Kind of ironic.